This is a very easy movie to pull screens from.
Sure.
It is. Actually, same here. I went through and just found all this great stuff to look at. Well, I haven't watched it in a very long time.
Oh, I see this
And
yearly.
yeah, and I watched it a couple nights ago, and it was, I will tell you one thing. Earlier before we started doing this, I said, don't would listen to the English language version, not the Japanese version. I'm going to admit I was wrong.
There's, first of all, there's two English language versions.
Yeah.
Not one.
Right.
And two, the Japanese language version is so much better.
Yeah, it is.
It's the all of the problems with this movie are not at all with the voice acting.
No, they're not. No,
the voice acting in this movie is fucking incredible.
It's both American version, both the English versions are pretty good, but I think the Japanese version actually adds a certain amount of emotional punch to it, which is weird because this is 80s anime, so it's all like that. But
this is the first large scale anime that was ever done by recording the audio first and editing or in making the cells to it. Right. Which is not the way they normally did things. That's the way we do it in America.
Yeah.
So like The Simpsons and stuff like that.
Yeah, Warner Brothers cartoons were done like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that's in the 40s.
Yeah.
Chad, let me ask you something about that thing you said that there's two different dubbed versions.
Yes.
Because one thing I noticed immediately watching the dubbed version that was available on Hulu was it wasn't the voices I was used to hearing. It was a whole different set.
I think that's a newer one.
You probably heard the original version, and then the company that had the rights to that fucking fell apart or disappeared or whatever. And so when it was put out again on DVD in 2001, they re-recorded the audio for the American version. And yeah, if you listen to the modern one, you won't hear the same voice actors that you heard when it was originally released in the US. The VHS version and the DVD version are different. And now if you go buy the modern Blu-ray version, it has both.
Oh, that's
it
nice.
literally has two English voice tracks, and one is the original and one is the new one, because if you were my age and you watched it, you would have heard the second dub.
Yeah.
I've actually never watched this dubbed. That's just
I saw in the theater dubbed.
I did see the theater. I saw in the theater dubbed in '88.
Yeah,
I didn't see this in theater because I was 5. But I have a tendency to seek out the original audio subtitled versions of things because that's just who I am when I'm watching stuff. So I didn't watch the dub this time either, despite Scott saying that I should.
Well, I just wanted to keep people to watch the graphics, not read the lines, because I think most of us have seen this. I'm not sure. Yeah, and so it was
over and over.
Watching it over again now. It's
First
like
time.
I don't
really.
I think I outgrew this film in a lot of ways. It just
I think everything outgrew this film.
Yeah, I think that the viewpoint's kind of juvenile.
Chris.
And
Chris never grew up.
Yeah.
Right. Chris is also 16 years old.
Well,
yeah.
But that's okay.
It has a real
but we love Chris for that.
Male vibe to it, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I'm not mad. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I mean, it tells an interesting story, I guess. There's a weird stubbornness to kind of keeping this in a juvenile perspective.
The story is slight. Like I will always talk about this movie as how influential it is. Like this movie has influenced so many things.
It's like Buckaroo Banzai of anime, basically.
Right, exactly. It has influenced so many things, and I will always appreciate it for that. Like I'm never going to sit here and be like, don't watch Akira, but there is a part of me that's like, maybe don't actually watch Akira. Like,
well, better stuff, interesting stuff has come along that kind of built off this. I'll give you that.
I will will agree with you, Scott, that for me watching it this time, and I'm not an every year guy like Chris by
Chris,
any
yes,
means,
exactly.
but I was blown away with seeing it in the movie theater in 1988 with the thunderous sound and the
Right.
graphics, huge.
And you
I
never,
wish
and you
I
never see it.
could've-
You've
I
never
wish-
seen
I
animation
wish-
like that
I
before.
wish I could have done that. I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a time and a place, and I mean, it's definitely the anime starter pack. If people are like, "What is anime?" It's like,
Mhm.
right.
that's anime.
That's what anime looks like.
But watching it on my TV just now, and I just sort of skimmed through it today and watched some of it because I've seen it a couple times, and it's long.
And you can skip over a lot of it because a
Yes,
lot of it
you
is
can.
unnecessary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, I always say that this movie would be a lot better if they took out 20 minutes of things exploding at the end because it's just non-stop.
Well, it
shit
goes for a
going on.
2001-ish ending with all
Yeah.
the crazy graphics and like that.
Yeah.
That was not
It just
necessary,
looks.
really.
I mean, given the
It would have
passage of
been
time, all the
better if
things
they
that have-
just concentrated on the Truman Capote looking kid
Mhm.
and got rid of Kaneda and Tetsuo.
Yeah,
That
I was
would've
kind
been
of,
okay.
I was digging the kind of the political angle of the whole thing. I thought that was kind of, seeing it again, more interesting to me than the main plot.
Yes,
Japan's falling apart. There's a colonel. There's a coup d'état, and there's that weird little raccoon dude. And I was like, I imagine it's a lot of stuff happening in Japanese politics that's never happened before. And
the moment when the colonel just disregards the orders and
Yeah.
is like, actually go arrest all of them.
yes,
And it's just like, how do you have the power to do that? Like, you're just a colonel. You're not even a general.
right.
Like,
Well,
and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna go. And then that one guy is just like, I'm gonna stuff all this money in this briefcase and I'm gonna shoot it. I'm gonna shoot Kai,
Mhm.
and then we're out.
yeah.
Like, it's
But-
like, what?
That's a coup. That's how coups work. Colonels take over, man. They have the troops loyal to them. Also, weird thing is this film treats the colonel as a sympathetic character. I can't tell.
He was
It's
one of the
a lot of
few
times
sympathetic
explaining what's happening,
characters.
and a lot of times it seems like he has more than just his own self-interest going. In
Oh
terms
no,
of-
I think he does. I think he does actually want what's best for the nation and
Yeah.
the people and stuff like that. But he's also an idiot. Like, it's
Yeah, he's also an idiot.
Mhm.
right. But he does.
Well,
he
the
does sort
smart
of,
ones don't live long.
but he seems
No.
to be like one of the few level-headed people in the
He
story.
is
Yeah.
sort of
Thank you.
until he's confronted by Tetsuo and then immediately starts shooting.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
he's just immediately like, I have
yeah.
this. I
Does
have
he
this
actually
Desert
throw his
Eagle.
pistol, empty pistol? At
He
the-
might as well.
Almost, yeah.
Almost, yeah. I was waiting for that.
Mhm. But yeah. So
He
that
doesn't
was
quite do gun kata, but he
Yeah.
tries.
it was the movement of objects in the anime space was great. I thought they did sense of volume was really good. The color was amazing. And like I said, we saw this in the theaters as kids or wherever. It was like you've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
And I think it holds up well in terms of, I think this is also like, they don't do this anymore. They don't do except for
This-
the studio, how do you pronounce it? Studio
Studio
Ghibli.
Ghibli.
Ghibli. They still
Ghibli.
do this in-house in Japan, right? But they're like the only guy. Everybody else takes them to Korea or China or Singapore.
And this is 160,000 cells.
yeah.
It is 160,000 hand animated cells.
Right.
Like, just
They
think
were
about
doing
that.
some 12 frames per second, but
There was some, yeah,
mostly
there's some, was it
24.
called doubles? There's lots of doubles. in there.
doubles, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing.
But
that's-
again,
this is-
again, literally, they made 160,000
Yeah.
cells
Yeah.
for this.
It's a
and
lot.
this
Like,
is pre-computer animation.
Yeah. And there's a
there
couple
is
of-
there is
two
a tiny
little-
there's a tiny little bit of CG in this,
Where?
Little thing.
and it's mostly used for like tracking backgrounds.
No, when they're in this
Like-
thing and he's watching the
Oh, that weird looking fountain thing.
well,
Yeah.
it's like it's supposed to represent what's going on in his brain. That's like one piece of computer animation that actually made it into the movie.
There's also a couple of tracking background shots that they use computers
Yeah,
for,
I believe
and
that.
it's just like everything else in this is hand done,
Mhm.
and
Some of it's
How?
just impeccable,
How?
just so
I know.
amazing. It does kind of have that thing that is common to all anime that I've noticed in that it varies in how much detail and realism it goes into. It'll sometimes it'll lavish it on, and there's this really intricate kind of motion and stuff. And then they'll just do this shorthand
Like
where
this,
they just
like
cut to a still or just move a solid image across the screen. And that's always, I mean, Speed Racer had that same quality to it. It was like
Yeah.
sometimes
Dragon
God.
Dragon Ball Z. Like
Yeah.
if you go watch the non-Kai version of Dragon Ball Z, there like as it gets further and further through that show, like you get less and less and less detail in it. And it's just kind of like and that's one of the nice things about the Kai version is they went back and they used computer animation and they did new voices and all that other stuff, but like, and also they cut a lot of it out. They were just like, what if we just made this whole thing shorter? And that's actually what you probably need to do with a lot of anime. Like, you just need to reduce the overall, because they're all based on mangas, and mangas are years and years and years and years and years of published books.
Yeah. Well, there's that language of Japanese manga that goes in, like sometimes you get a little more of a recognition for the audience to sympathize with what you're seeing on screen by simplifying it, by actually
Well, and
underdrawing
the
a little
manga
bit.
wasn't
The
done.
manga version wasn't finished until
Right.
like 2
Yeah,
years after
2
this
years
movie
later.
came out.
Correct.
But it's so you see
My
So
some of
nephew
that.
is reading it right now.
much like the other movie, it just at one point veers off to the side and is like, hey, what if this happened over here? And it's just like, no, you have lost the plot.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's telling a bunch of different stories, and like I said, it starts out with nice some actually really excellent a chase scene in the beginning. That one is in the preview with the guy, the poor dude in the car in the intersection gets his
That's
car
where they
trashed.
lost me.
Yeah, but it was fun to watch.
That's pretty early, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know. I made it all the way through though.
There
Good
you
man,
go.
good man.
All right. Well, anyway, that's so. Like I said, it was. They're trying to say it's one of those things that I think that's a theme you see over and over in like the manga and other things like that, where you have this like super kids with superpowers basically, and
Yeah, it's sort of this nerdy kid who gets picked on who suddenly
Yeah.
becomes this godlike.
yeah. There's
That's not the
always that
first
there's
time I've
always
seen
the
it.
Just an
dynamic. Yeah, that
asshole.
dynamic is real common in Japanese
And
stuff. It's
he
like
is an asshole.
yeah,
The thing
Yeah,
I watched last night.
The
Chronicle?
violence in this movie, violence in this movie is so inconsistent, and that's one of the things I don't like about it. Like, there's people who get killed just by like pointing at them, essentially, and then there's people who survive getting absorbed into the giant monster
Mhm.
and then spit out the other side.
I
And
never
it's
understood
just-
that part.
Yeah, right. It's just the violence is inconsistent in a way that I don't like. Like
I like my violence consistent. Damn it.
Yeah, you like
Yes.
consistent violence.
yeah, I do. I do like my violence consistent. I like if somebody gets shot 3 times, they should die. If everyone else
Well,
who's been shot
wait,
3
okay.
times has died.
I know. I thought
Like,
this was under Die Hard rules, which was actually the same year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people get just you look at them, they die. Other people can survive multiple bullet shots and they're fine. That's like,
Right.
But that's that kind of like that's that kind of thing that was going on with this. But
This has that thing that I complained about with Live, Die, Repeat, which is, people surviving shit that would kill any normal
yeah,
human.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's your
yeah.
complaint at that time.
Right,
But,
but I disagreed with you on that. I continue to disagree with you on that. I agree with you in this, though. Like, it is very much like if you're plot centric, then you get to survive getting blown up or
Yeah.
stabbed or crashed into by a car or whatever.
You have character
And if you're-
armor.
The character
Right,
shield,
and
yes.
Right, and if your plot inconsistent, then you just die.
All right.
Like you turn into a mush of blood on the ceiling.
Yeah. Yes.
Like
Which was there was some you're talking about inconsistent violence. The whole like force field thing was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was an impressive kill. When
It
he
was an
did
impressive kill.
when the hallway got round.
Uh-huh. Yeah, exactly. Just like that. And this is exactly what happens. Or the part where they're firing
Dripping
lasers,
from the ceiling.
Yeah.
where they're firing lasers at him, and he just like he diverts around him in a circle, and they just kill the people behind him, basically.
I also
like the part. I like the part where the T-90 shows up and they shoot the tank round at him, and he just sort of is like,
There's
he
that.
stops it. He does that
Neo from
Matrix. He does a
Matrix.
Neo Matrix.
Yeah.
Well,
thing.
that, you know, Matrix came from somewhere, right?
Yes, it
Hello.
did.
Right.
But,
But he does, but he absolutely does the just like, and he reaches out and touches it in the air and then
Yeah.
it falls to the ground.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Just-
exactly.
It's that there are so many beautiful tiny moments in this that
Yeah.
like, again, I will say influence so many other things around it. And I'll never give this movie a thumbs down, despite every time I watch it, I have a slightly lower opinion
Yeah.
of it. Like,
I'm on the same boat now.
Yeah.
But I love the film, but it is, I think it's emotionally unsatisfying. I don't,
Yes.
you know, Tetsuo, I don't know what he wants. He doesn't know what he wants.
The ending
Most
is,
of the main characters don't know what they
Oh.
want, what their goals are, and they're pretty
the
petty
ending
goals.
is ambiguous.
Like,
The ending
I
is
want my
ambiguous.
motorcycle back, or what the fuck?
And
and the
It's like-
ending is so long.
Uh-huh,
The ending is so
yeah.
long.
But that's just me. That thing that's me growing out of it. That wasn't the film. The film is what the film is in some ways.
I
But Chris,
give it
you've
a-
been super duper
Because
quiet
all
here,
you guys are
and
fucking wrong, and I couldn't
and-
disagree with you more.
he's turned beet red. So
Yeah.
please,
He
Chris, take
is.
the floor, man.
He almost
No, I
walked
mean,
out.
what am I gonna say?
Time for a mini stroke.
This is another one of those movies I bought. Like, I think I had 3 laser discs because I kept
17,000 versions of this.
Yeah,
I've owned
right.
this movie a bazillion times. I got the fucking
I had
toys.
the rare
I
German
toys in the
dub.
closet, manga in the closet. I've watched this movie. I mean, for me, I mean, the sad thing is that, you know, I saw this at midnight at the Roxy in the Mission because I read about it. And it's like your head explodes because you've never seen anything like it. And for me, the problem is, yes, I mean, I kind of like what I say, Spirited Away. But as a general, for me, this is sort of the mic drop on cell animation.
Oh yeah.
Like, I have seen very little traditional cell animation that was not computer enhanced that has ever blown me away to the degree that this movie blows me away. And I can still watch this and go, holy fucking shit, the level of scale and craft. And yes, John, I agree with you. Like, you know, it's hard to reconcile. Like, there's one scene where Tetsuo is in that machine that's sort of like the machine in Fifth Element that's like surrounding him.
With the little armature and like,
yeah, like
you
that
know,
is really, really nicely rendered. And then, yeah, a few scenes later, there's something throwaway. But, you know, I mean, you know, as I understand it, they had to invent new colors, new cell colors.
really.
Yes, because
Yes,
there's so much of
there's
this movie that was
300
shot
there's
at night.
340 colors in this, and something like 90 of them had never been
Wow.
used
Because
before.
they so much of it takes place at night, which requires the colors to pop differently. And
Mhm.
I mean, yes, there are things that I can go, all right, you know, this expression on like every character in the fucking movie gets really tedious.
Well,
really fast.
you know, but that's for the. I have a question. That's from the manga, the big chin thing.
Yeah,
that's,
well, it's
that's
not just the big chin,
that's the
it's
original artist
it's
style.
It's not the big. It's not the big chin. It's
the
the.
teeth. It's
Yeah.
the teeth.
Oh yeah, there's a
Wow.
lot. There's a lot of stopping and staring.
There's a
at
lot
things
of
in this
there's a
film.
lot of teeth, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, again, like the level
It's
of
because
fucking
that's what the voices sound like.
level of scale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like when he's running amok at the end of the movie and like going into thing land,
Morphing.
hand animated pieces of glass showering the street.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Like all that shit, just pump it into my fucking veins, man.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
When he
I
goes
could-
when he goes into space,
that's
space,
badass.
yeah, it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
great. That's
and
really
it
great.
gets extraordinarily quiet.
Yeah.
Silence of space, basically.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
standing on the
When-
satellite with his
Mhm.
cape blowing in the wind, which
That
looks
shit
fucking
is
cool.
so
Mhm.
fucking cool still to me.
Yeah. And then
I'm
you,
not. Again,
and then
I'm
wait,
not
the
gonna
next
take anything. I'm not going to take anything away from how gorgeous this is, because it is. I
And
agree.
It influenced a lot, but unfortunately, like, you know, like I said, I saw this, and at the time I was buying Laserdiscs from this guy in the Sunset District who it was across the street from my house, so it was easy for me to
He
go
was
there, like,
buying
all
laser discs in the way you
time.
buy drugs.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
there like 5 days a week,
Right.
for real. But I would like, that was, you know, I just saw Akira. I
Yeah.
want where's the disc? Is
Mhm.
Criterion done that yet? It actually took him like 5 or 6 years to finally do it. But I went back and said, give me more things like that. And so he hands me a bunch of discs. I take them home and I'm like,
Yeah. You know, did you ever get the import Laserdisc?
I bought 3 different versions of this
Oh,
movie
okay.
imported on Laserdisc before I got the Criterion one.
Yeah, right.
Because
Also,
I kept
we-
looking for a good copy with a good Like I wanted one, well, you could get it, you could get the Japanese one, but it didn't have any subtitles.
Who cares? You saw it.
Well,
yeah, you knew the story.
anyway, so
Yeah,
but-
Chris, it makes me think of that line from Ghost World where the girl says, Shimi, do you have any more records like this? And he goes, there are no other records.
right,
Like
and
Yeah.
that's for me,
Now-
that is this movie still. Like there are live action things that I
Mhm.
watch now, and Ghost in the Shell was maybe the only other anime post Akira that I could watch more than once.
Have
And
you
you-
ever seen Appleseed?
I actually have the first two. I like the first two. I don't really love the third or the fourth one.
Yeah, no, the
Those are
first
pretty
Appleseed,
cool.
the first Appleseed is like so it like
Yeah, those are
it
good.
takes this idea and it turns it up a notch.
And that is a 50-50 computer cell but it's computer animation that looks sort of like cell animation, so that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
But this is like for me again, like I think this was the mic drop on traditional pre-CG cell animation. I think it's still like
No, it's a gorgeous film.
there's
And-
lots. Yes,
And we're talking about this is the this is
I
you
don't
figure
care.
out this
I love
figure
it.
out this week's theme yet? This week's theme is handmade movies,
Ah,
where everything
well-
you're seeing was made by hand.
And I love this movie. I still love this movie. I've seen
Yeah.
it a bazillion times, and
I don't
I agree with some of the things you guys are saying about the story. None of it matters to me. I'm just
Okay.
still so heavily
I don't-
invested in what it looks
I don't
like.
not love I don't not love this movie. Like I Chris specifically, like I want you to understand it's not that I don't love this movie, it's that I want to love it more and it prevents me from doing that. Like watching it again, every time I watch it again, I have these moments of like, God, I wish you hadn't done this.
Right.
Like, I wish you'd made this part a little bit more coherent. I wish you'd made this part a little bit more friendly to the audience. Like,
Is it possible that the target audience for this movie was a Japanese audience that is used to mangas? And they didn't
I
really
think
give a fuck
quite
whether
possibly,
it's
quite
translated
possibly.
to American audiences or any other audiences.
Mhm.
but
No,
I
that-
like, but I like a lot of other animes. Like, it's not, my issue isn't that. My issue is that the incoherence of it, the overall incoherence of it, just takes a little bit away. Like,
I'm gonna just just Japanese films in general or anime specifically, I think is for me like maybe 80 or 70% coherent. There's always gonna be a ton of stuff I'm not following because I'm not culturally attuned to it. And so it always seems there's a distanciation there because any film in a foreign language is like that, but especially there's a lot of cues and codes in anime that don't you really have to figure out, and somebody needs to explain to you afterwards. Like Fooly Cooley on the series, they have to stop and put in big subtitles to tell you what the hell's happening half the time because
Did
it's
you
like
guys ever see
Yeah.
the Final Fantasy, the CG movie?
no, I didn't.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That's the same thing where it's like at a certain point they start jibber jabbering about Gaia.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
where I'm like, oh shit, this crap again. Okay, open up skull, take brain out, stop caring.
Right.
And like that's again, that's for me, like those Appleseed movies at the same like, at a certain point they kind of go over into what the fuck are you talking about now? All right, I don't care, but I'm tripping on what I'm looking at. I'm
show
not
me some
thinking-
more cool shit.
I am not thinking about this anymore. I am now going to focus on the cool shit at the
Right.
expense of what the narrative is happening because whatever.
Yeah.
And that's still kind of how I feel about this.
Well, this is props where props are due. This film it opened up and animated the world. Adult animation got opened up to the world with this thing. It did so many positives.
I mean,
my negatives are go ahead.
I picked Titan A.
Yeah, you did.
Like, Titan AE does not exist without this.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it-
Yeah.
I 100% believe that this movie is important on its own level.
Yeah.
Like, above and beyond whatever else, like, this movie is important because it made people accept that there could be adult animation.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
in the
broke it.
West. In the
Yeah,
West.
it just basically took Mickey Mouse and cut his fucking heart out, which is great.
Mm.
But like that.
More kids, more guts being pulled out, please.
Yeah, and the thing with for me, it's like it shoot him with a laser, and he grows 5 stories high, and his head splits open, and there's Goofy inside. And we can make this film later, I suppose. But like I said, this film was very influential, and I think the faults I had watching it again are mine because I am not this target audience anymore. That's just me. That's me growing up and saying I want more emotional engagement.
Right.
I want.
Sorry, you didn't get emotional engagement from that weird, creepy scene where they turn the stuffed animals into giant
Well,
monsters?
I loved it. I was freaked the
Mhm.
fuck out, but I wasn't emotionally engaged. I was like, "This is incredibly fucking cool."
Yeah.
And then they start like ooze comes out of them, and it's just great. Again, we could talk about the moments in this film over and all night
For
long.
sure.
But
For sure.
Jim needs a corner.
Jim needs a
Jim
corner,
does
but
need a
it's
corner.
also very quiet.
He didn't
Yeah,
like it. He
I
already
guess
said
I wanted to like it because I'd heard so much about it and tried watching it a couple of times in Japanese, and then forced myself to watch whichever dubbed version was available. I don't know. I have a problem, I think, with not with violence and not with the cool graphics and stuff. The problem I have is with juvenile delinquents. And I've never really
legit.
liked even like what's his name?
Jim, who definitely wasn't a juvenile delinquent. Anyway, moving on.
Mhm.
I was never a juvenile delinquent. Anyway,
No, I was a large adult delinquent.
yeah.
There you go.
So
Anyway,
it lost you with the kids trashing the people's cars.
Yeah, it's like fuck. I just wanted him shot and be done with.
I have never heard this take before in this film. It's like
Yeah.
that's a new one. That's a new one, Jim. It's
I'm
like
trying to remember.
the
Rebel Without a
clowns,
Cause.
that
Who's the
pill
guy?
gang, line them up and
Rebel
shoot
Without a
'em.
Cause or the Wild One.
Or yeah,
the
exactly.
Wild One. Yeah,
And all those
There's
60s
these-
biker movies.
Yeah, these I just had to. They left
60s
a
biker
bad-
movies are terrible.
I know.
Yeah, but they're
They
great,
left
terrible.
a bad taste in my mouth.
No, they're not.
No, make
bad.
it.
But,
Gee, I'm gonna take this off my list now. All right, not that one, not that one.
Jim
Yeah.
thinks that the ending of Easy Rider should have been the first 10 minutes of the film, and both those guys should have got blown away by the redneck.
I actually liked Easy Rider, but I don't think the heroes, if you can call them the anti-heroes, maybe in Easy Rider. What's this? Fonda and
Captain America.
and Hopper.
Right.
Nicholson.
They're at
Don't
least
make me get
a horn.
A chart.
That's the Hopper chart.
no a chart.
Hopper
Don't
chart.
get
The
a-
Hopper
I think
scale.
Hopper is this.
It's
17.
Yeah, what can I say?
So
I'm glad you guys bonded with this movie. I just bonded with different movies, I guess.
what do you think of the look of the thing? What do you think of the visuals in general?
I was waiting to be wowed, and it kind of just reminded me of what's the adult animation from Czechoslovakia? Something Planet for Fantastic.
Fantastic Planet is
Yeah.
French, and that's 1973. And
Why did I think it was Hungarian?
no,
I thought it was Middle European,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
maybe
It's
it came
French.
out in France.
Yeah.
Either way, okay. Well, that's an interesting.
In the year of our Lord 2024, this movie does not look that great from an animation style. Like, if this is your first time watching it, like, I totally get how you're like,
Well, when you
Yeah.
compare it to again, what are we talking? What are its peers?
he's comparing it to everything he's seen since this came out.
Which
Like,
is legit, but it's hard. It's
I
hard to
mean,
separate. You know what I mean?
I've never been a great connoisseur of what I would call the fancy artsy fartsy comics,
No, I could dig that.
Yeah, if it's not the Cats and Jammer Kids, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was watching this.
Or
and,
Life in Hell.
Yeah.
I consider Life in Hell a really good comic.
well, it is.
But-
It is.
And it's amazing that The Simpsons was able to succeed.
The
in
angriest
spite
dog in the
of
world was the
Grey
best
Man's
comic
art.
came out in the 80s, and they really
Yeah,
should have made
yeah.
a movie out of that thing. But
Well, this movie came out right at the same
My
time.
name is
The
Little
Simpsons
Bongo. I'd like to
debuted,
sing my
right?
song
Say
every
again,
time.
Jim?
Every time I say my
88?
name.
88, yeah.
Simpsons was 88, wasn't it?
yeah,
87.
89.
Yeah.
89 is when the
The Tracy Ullman show. No.
Well, before that is the Tracy Ullman
Yeah.
They
show.
were doing the
89
interstitials for
Right,
Tracy
right.
Ullman.
89 is when Santa's Little Helper,
Helper
comes
came out,
and
yeah.
then and then you have The Simpsons going on from 90
To
you
the,
know,
admittedly
I mean,
still
just-
today.
until the
Right.
heat death of the universe, we'll just keep
Right.
doing Simpsons episodes. So,
But you just sort of compare Bart as a little asshole to Tetsuo. Tetsuo has like no redeeming characteristics. He's just like, he's sort of like Godzilla. He's, I don't know, a freak of nature.
Yeah.
I like your analogies. I really do. I was like, Tetsuo was Bart Simpson. You know what? I'm gonna subscribe to your newsletter right now. That's good
Okay,
stuff.
Yeah, damn it.
I
Read my
know.
Substack.
Yeah.
Wait
All
till
right.
we
Good
get
enough.
to
All
the
right. Well,
next one. We'll be
let's
disagreeing
go
even
to
more.
the cards, kids.
I
What do
think
you
it's
think?
fucking hard classic. So
It's still a classic. It's
Still
a little bit
classic
just
for
a
me,
few
right?
degrees off, but that's
I'm
about
a little
it.
off. It's like
Yeah.
it's a 9 for the animation, 9 for impact.
Right.
Looked a little small on my TV in
I think it's
2025.
like
Yeah.
a 12 for Impact, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like The Godfather, but we won't go into that. So.